Time pocket collapse in 1 minute, Nova announced. The Bridge of New Dawn hummed with energy as the last ships in the fleet came online. Outside, hundreds of Voidborn pressed against the time pocket's edge, their dark shapes moving like angry waves. All stations report ready, Nova said. The fleet awaits your command, Dr. Ian. Dunn stood at the center of the bridge, her hands on a glowing control panel. Tai in hand stood beside her, swords ready. There are too many of them, Han said, looking at the Voidborn outside. Even with 500 ships, we can't fight them all. We don't need to fight them, Yun replied. We need to connect with them. She turned to Ta. That's why we need Soulkeeper. What do you mean? Tai asked. The sword is more than a weapon. It's a key. Yun pointed to a slot in the center of the control panel. It can link all the ships together and create a wave that will separate the Voidborn's consciousness from the void energy. Time pocket collapse in 30 seconds, Nova warned. Tad looked at Soulkeeper. The blade still held some purple lights, but most had already been transferred to the fleet. Will it work with so few consciousnesses left inside it? It's not about how many, Yun explained. It's about the connection. The sword knows you, and it knows me. Together, we can complete the circuit. 10 seconds to collapse. Nova counted down. 9, 8. Trust me, Yun said, holding out her hand to Ta. 3, 2, 1. The time pocket shattered like glass. Suddenly, the fleet was in normal space, surrounded by the red giant's fiery chromosphere. The Voidborn swarmed around them, their dark shapes blocking out the star's light. Now, Ta, Yun shouted. Tai raised Soulkeeper high, then drove it down into the slot on the control panel. The sword slid in perfectly, as if it had been made for this moment. A shock wave of blue energy burst from the blade, spreading through the entire ship. Yun placed her hands on the sword's handle beside Ta's. Han joined them, adding his strength. Nova, activate the resonance pattern, Yun ordered. Resonance pattern active, the ship responded, transmitting to all vessels. Outside, the 500 ships moved into a new formation. From above, they would have looked like a giant snowflake, each ship precisely placed. The Voidborn are attacking the outer ships, Nova reported. Through the bridge windows, Tai could see dark shapes attaching themselves to the fleet's vessels, trying to feed on their energy. But something was happening. Where the Voidborn touched the ships, blue light spread through their dark bodies. It's working, Yun whispered. The resonance is spreading. Soulkeeper pulsed in the control panel, growing brighter with each beat. The blue energy from the ships met the Voidborn's darkness. Instead of fighting, they were merging. The final step, Yun said. She looked at Tai and Han. We need to complete the circuit with our minds. Ta didn't fully understand, but he trusted Yun. He closed his eyes and focused on Soulkeeper, on the connection they shared. He felt Han doing the same beside him. Bun's consciousness flowed through them, guiding them. Suddenly, Tai could see the Voidborn differently. They weren't just enemies or even lost souls. They were people scattered across the void, reaching for home. A blinding light filled the bridge. When it faded, Tai opened his eyes to see the space around them transformed. The dark shapes of the Voidborn were gone. In their place floated thousands of small crystals, each glowing with purple light. We did it, Yun said, tears in her eyes. We freed them. Where Soulkeeper had been, there was now a crystal column rising from the control panel. Inside it, countless lights swirled like a galaxy. What happened to the sword? Han asked. It became what it was always meant to be, Yun explained. Not a sword, but a key to unlock lost souls. The crystal column pulsed with life. Within it, the lights were taking new shapes, becoming more defined. They're waking up, Yun said. The consciousness fragments are rebuilding themselves. Tai and Yun reached the dock and boarded Ta's small ship. The station shook harder as more Voidborn attacked its outer walls. They strapped into their seats as Tai started the launch sequence. "Computer, emergency departure," Tai ordered. "Warning. 2 Voidborn blocking exit path," the computer replied. Through the front window, Ta saw dark shapes moving outside the dock. They were trapped. "We need a distraction," Yun said. She pulled out the crystal from her pocket. It glowed with the same blue energy as Soulkeeper. "This contains the rest of my consciousness pattern. The Voidborn want it badly." "What are you thinking?" Tai asked. "We can use the station's signal array to send out a pulse of this energy. It will draw them away from us for a short time." Yun plugged the crystal into the ship's control panel. "Your computer can send the signal." Ta nodded. "Computer, send an energy pulse matching the crystal's pattern to the far side of the station." "Sending pulse in 3, 2, 1. A flash of blue light shot from the station's communication array. The dark shapes outside moved away, chasing the energy signal. "Launch now," Yun said. Ta pushed the ship to full power. They shot out of the dock as the station began to collapse behind them. The Voidborn would return soon when they realized the trick. As they flew toward safety, Yun looked at the purple crystals now floating in Soulkeeper's blade. "You've been collecting these for years without knowing," she said. "Every Voidborn you fought with this sword, you've been saving pieces of them." Ta looked at his blade with new eyes. "The Defense Force told us the swords destroy the Voidborn. They never said anything about saving them." "Because they didn't know," Yun replied. "After the first attack, when they found the weapons, they only understood part of how they worked. They saw the blades could hurt the Voidborn, so they used them that way." She touched the sword gently. The purple crystals moved toward her fingers as if drawn to her. "The On were once the most advanced people in the galaxy," she explained. "Over 10,000 years ago, they tried to make themselves immortal by putting their minds into the fabric of space itself. They thought they could become like gods." "What went wrong?" Tai asked. "Their minds stretched too thin. They became something else, hungry voids that consume energy to try to fill the emptiness inside them. But deep in each Voidborn, there's still a small piece of who they once were." The ship's alarm sounded. "Voidborn approaching from behind," the computer warned. Tai checked the screen. 3 dark shapes were gaining on them. "They're fast. We can't outrun them." Yun looked worried. "There's more you need to know. The Defense Force has been fighting the wrong way. Killing Voidborn only releases their energy. It comes back together later, forming new ones. That's why there are more now than when the war started. If we can't kill them, what can we do?" Tai asked. "We separate their consciousness from the void energy using swords like yours. Then we can help them become something new." Yun pointed at the stars ahead. "There's a place, a hidden fleet I helped build. Ships with technology that can hold these saved consciousnesses." Tai made a decision. "Computer, set course for Defense Station Alpha. We need to warn them." "That's not wise," Yun said. "Your leaders may not believe us. They've been fighting this war their way for 20 years. They need to know the truth," Tai insisted. "We can't keep destroying what could be saved." The Voidborn were getting closer. Their dark shapes stretched out behind the ship like grasping hands. "We'll have to fight again soon," Yun said. "This time, I'll show you how to use Soulkeeper properly, not just to defend yourself, but to truly save what's left of them." Ta gripped the sword. It no longer trembled but pulsed with steady light, as if it had found its true purpose at last. "I've been a knight for 15 years, he said. "I thought I knew what I was fighting for. Now I'm not sure of anything." "That," Yun said with a small smile, "is where wisdom begins." The woman turned slowly. Her face was calm, as if she had been waiting for him. She looked about 40 years old with short black hair and dark eyes that seemed to see right through Ta. "You brought it back," she said, looking at Stardrinker. Her voice was soft but clear. Ta kept the sword pointed at her. "Who are you? This station should be empty." "My name is Dr. Yun. I worked here before the attacks, and you are holding my greatest work. She pointed at the trembling sword. Tai didn't lower his weapon. This is a knight's blade. It was given to me by the defense force. Dr. Yun smiled. They gave you what they found, not what they made. Please, follow me. I will show you. Against his better judgment, Ta followed her deeper into the lab. Strange machines lined the walls. Some still worked, lights blinking in the dim room. As they walked, Ta felt odd. Pictures flashed in his mind. A bright lab filled with people, test tubes glowing with blue light, and someone working late at night. These weren't his memories. You feel them, don't you? Dr. Yun asked. The memories in the sword. Stardrinker's blade pulsed brighter in some parts of the lab and dimmer in others. It was like the weapon was searching for something. They reached a round room at the center of the lab. In the middle stood a glass tube filled with swirling blue energy, just like Stardrinker's blade. 20 years ago, we made a breakthrough, Dr. Yun said. We found a way to put human thought patterns into energy weapons. It made the weapons smarter, able to fight the Voidborn better. She touched the glass tube. This is the source. The first test, we took a small piece of a person's mind and put it into a weapon. Ta stared at the tube, then at his sword. Whose mind? Dr. Yun looked at him. Mine. Stardrinker shook harder in Ta's hand. The blade's light matched the pulse of the energy in the tube. When the Voidborn attacked, we had to split the project. The weapon was sent away for safety. I stayed to protect the source. She pointed to a small bed near the tube. I put myself in sleep mode. The computer was set to wake me if the weapon ever came back. Tai tried to understand. You're saying my sword has part of your mind in it? Yes. That's why it trembles. It recognizes me. She held out her hand. May I? Slowly, Ta handed her Stardrinker. The moment she touched it, the blade stopped shaking. Its light grew steady and twice as bright. We called it Soulkeeper, not Stardrinker, she said with a sad smile. It was never just a weapon. It was meant to save, not just destroy. Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. The computer's voice came over the speakers. Warning, void energy detected. 3 Voidborn approaching. Dr. Yun's face went white. They felt it. They felt us reconnect. She handed the sword back to Ta. We need to leave now. I can't let them find the source. My ship is at Dock 7, Ta said, taking the sword. It felt different in his hand now, more alive. Dr. Yun quickly typed commands into a computer. The blue energy in the tube started to drain into a small crystal. What are you doing? Tai asked. Taking the source with us. It's not safe here anymore. She pocketed the crystal as the tube went dark. The station shook. Through the windows, Ta saw 3 dark shapes moving toward them. The Voidborn looked like tears in space itself, black holes with purple edges that ate everything they touched. They're coming, he said. Dr. Yun nodded. They always did want my mind. Tai raised Stardrinker. The blade was steady now, glowing brighter than ever before. Let's go, he said. I won't let them have either piece of you. Mining Colony 7 was small but busy. Ships came and went, carrying ore from the asteroid belt. Tai landed their damaged ship in the repair bay. No one paid much attention to them. That was good. We need a better ship, Ta said as they walked through the crowded station. And supplies. Bun kept her head down. Her face might be recognized. She had been an important scientist before the war. I have an idea, she said quietly. Earth isn't far from here. Tai stopped walking. Earth. It's dead. Just a shell orbiting a cold sun. The Defense Force uses it as a base. They hide underground where the Voidborn can't sense them. How do you know this? Tai asked. I designed part of those bases. Yun tapped her head. I remember everything I knew before I went to sleep 20 years ago. They found a small food shop and sat in a corner. The place was noisy enough that no one would hear them talk. Going to Earth is dangerous, Ta said. General G runs the base there. He won't believe us. We don't need him to believe, Yun replied. We just need access to the old research files. And a better ship. Tai thought for a moment. I know people there. Other knights. Some might listen to us. 2 days later, they had traded enough of the ship's spare parts to buy passage on a supply ship headed to Earth. They traveled in the cargo hold, hidden among boxes of food and medicine. The trip took 3 days. When they arrived, Tai was shocked at what he saw. Earth, once a blue-green jewel, was now gray and lifeless. The oceans were gone. The land was cracked and dry. Only the thin layer of air remained, held by gravity. The supply ship landed at a hidden base in what was once called North America. A huge door in the ground opened, and the ship descended into darkness. Put this on, Ta said, handing Un a knight's cloak. Keep your face covered. I'll do the talking. The base was bigger than Tay remembered. Thousands of people lived here now. The last of humanity, hiding under the dead planet's surface. They walked through crowded halls toward the night quarters. Captain Ta, a voice called. You're alive. A tall man in a knight's uniform approached them. It was Han, Ta's old friend from training days. Han, Ta greeted him. Good to see you. Where have you been? Your mission to Station 17 was weeks ago. We thought you were dead. It's a long story, Ta said. I need to speak with you privately. Han looked at Ian, still hidden under the cloak. Who's your friend? Someone important. Please, Han. Trust me. Han led them to his private room. Once the door closed, Tai told him everything about finding Yun, the true nature of Stardrinker, and what the Voidborn really were. That's impossible, Han said when Tai finished. The Voidborn are monsters, not lost souls. Show him, Yun said, removing her hood. Tai activated Soulkeeper. The blade hummed to life, filled with purple lights that moved like living things. Han stared at the sword. What are those lights? Pieces of consciousness, Tai explained. Parts of the Voidborn we saved, not destroyed. Han shook his head. General G would never believe this. He's been fighting the Voidborn for 20 years. He hates them more than anyone. We don't need him to believe, Yun said. We just need access to the old research files. And a fast ship. That might be a problem, Han replied. All Knight's weapons are being studied now. The general ordered it last week. He wants to make more powerful weapons. What? Ta's face went pale. They can't take the swords apart. It would kill the consciousness inside them. As they spoke, alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. Han's communication device beeped. All Knights report to the main hall immediately, a voice ordered. Captain Ta has been spotted. He is to be detained on site. He has brought an enemy agent to our base. Han looked at them with sad eyes. I'm sorry. The security cameras must have recognized Dr. Yun. He drew his own sword. I have to take you in. Tay's hand moved to Soulkeeper. Don't do this, Han. You're my friend. And you're a traitor, Han replied. The general said Dr. Yun died 20 years ago. If she's alive now, she must be working with the enemy. Yun stepped forward. Please listen. There's so much you don't understand. Han raised his sword. No more talking. General G will decide what to do with you both. Their small ship docked with the largest vessel in the fleet. The docking area lit up as they stepped inside, lights turning on one by one, as if the ship was waking from a long sleep. Welcome home, Dr. Yun, a soft voice said from hidden speakers. It has been 7 months and 12 days in local time since you left. Hello, Nova, Yun replied with a smile. It's good to be back. The inside of the ship was unlike anything Ta or Han had seen before. The walls were smooth and white, with blue lights running along them like rivers. The air smelled fresh and clean. The flagship of the healing fleet, Yun explained. We called it New Dawn. It was the first one we built. They followed the blue lights down wide halls until they reached the center of the ship. A large round room opened before them, with a raised platform in the middle. Above the platform, a hologram of the entire fleet floated in the air. "This is the control center," Yun said. She stepped onto the platform. The blue crystal in her hand glowed brighter. "From here, we can wake all the ships at once." Ta stood beside her, holding Soulkeeper. The sword pulsed with the same blue light as the crystal and the ship systems. "What will happen when you wake them?" he asked. "The time pocket will collapse," Yun said. "The fleet will return to normal space. After that, we can begin the healing work." Han looked concerned. "Won't the Defense Force detect that many ships appearing at once? They'll think it's a voidborn attack." "Yes," Yun admitted. "That's why we need to contact them first. Explain what we're doing." "They won't listen," Han said. "General G believes the only good voidborn is a dead one." "Then we show them proof." Tai raised Soulkeeper. The purple lights inside the blade swirled like tiny stars. "We show them what we've saved." Yun nodded and placed the blue crystal into a slot on the platform. The hologram above them grew larger, showing all 500 ships in perfect detail. "Nova, begin wake-up sequence for all vessels," she commanded. "Wake-up sequence initiated," the ship's voice replied. "Time pocket collapse will begin in 10 minutes." The hologram showed the ships lighting up one by one, systems coming online after years of sleep. "Now," Yun said, turning to Ta, "let's show the fleet what we've brought home." Ta held Soulkeeper over the platform. Yun placed her hands on the sword's handle beside his. Together, they turned the blade downward until its tip touched the platform. A humming sound filled the room. The purple lights inside Soulkeeper began to flow out of the blade and into the ship's systems. The hologram changed, showing the tiny consciousness fragments spreading throughout the fleet. "The ships are accepting them," Yun said with joy in her voice. "They recognize what was lost." Han watched in amazement as the purple lights multiplied in the hologram, filling more and more of each ship. "How many are in there?" he asked. "Hundreds from Ta's sword alone," Yun replied. "Each one is a piece of someone who was lost to the void. Not complete souls yet, but seeds that can grow." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Warning," Nova announced. "Multiple voidborn signatures detected approaching the time pocket. Estimated arrival, 7 minutes." "They sensed us," Ta said. "They know what we're doing." "How many?" Han asked. "Sensors detect over 1,000 voidborn entities," Nova replied. "They appear to be converging from all directions." Ivan looked worried. "We need more time. The fleet isn't fully awake yet. We'll have to fight," Han said, drawing his sword. "Not just fight," Ta corrected him. "Save. Remember what we learned, Han. These are not just enemies." The ship shuddered as the first voidborn reached the edge of the time pocket. "Time pocket integrity at 80%, Nova reported. 5 minutes until complete collapse." "We need to get to the bridge," Yun said. "From there, we can direct the fleet once it's awake." They ran through the bright corridors, following Yun's lead. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of the voidborn trying to break through the time pocket's edge. "They want to stop us," Yun said as they reached the bridge. "They fear what we're doing." "Why would they fear being saved?" Han asked. "Because what remains of their original minds knows the truth," Yun replied. "They know what they've become. Part of them wants to be free, but part fears what freedom might mean." The bridge was a large room with windows that showed the time pocket around them. Outside, dark shapes moved against the red glow of the star. "Time pocket collapse in 3 minutes," Nova announced. Tai watched as more ships lit up in the fleet. They were running out of time. "What's the plan?" he asked Dun. "When the pocket collapses, the fleet will emerge in normal space," she said. "Then we fight, not to destroy, but to save." Tai and Dr. Yun ran through the dark halls of the station. The lights flickered as the voidborn drew closer. Each time the lights went out, They came back dimmer. "They're eating the station's power," Ta said. He held Stardrinker, or Soulkeeper as Un called it, in front of them. The sword's bright blue light helped them see. "The dock is this way." Yun pointed down a side hall. "We need to hurry." Another shake rocked the station. Metal groaned as walls bent inward. Through a window, Ta saw one of the Voidborn attach itself to the station's power core. The dark shape pulsed as it fed. "Tell me more about the sword," Ta said as they ran. "How does it work?" "Your knights think the swords just respond to your thoughts," Yun explained. "The truth is more complex. Each weapon has a piece of consciousness in it. When you think, it thinks with you." They reached a large open area. The ceiling was gone, torn away by something big. Stars shone through the hole, but a thin force field kept the air in. "We have to cross here," Yun said. "The dock is on the other side." As they stepped into the room, a dark mass dropped through the hole in the ceiling. It hovered just above the force field. A Voidborn. Up close, it looked like a rip in space. Inside was nothing but darkness with flecks of purple light. It was the size of a small car and shaped like a jellyfish. "It sees us," Ta said, raising his sword. The Voidborn pressed against the force field. The thin barrier bent inward but held. "It's testing the field," Yun whispered. "We need to move before it breaks through." They started to cross the room, staying close to the walls. The Voidborn followed them from above, pushing harder against the force field. "You said the sword was meant to save, not destroy," Ta said, keeping his eyes on the creature. "What did you mean?" Yun touched the crystal in her pocket. "The Voidborn weren't always like this. They were people once, a race called the On. They tried to merge their minds with space itself. Something went wrong." Ta looked at her in shock. "The Voidborn were people." "Yes, their experiment turned them inside out. Their bodies became void energy, and their minds were trapped inside, slowly going mad." Yun's face was sad. Soulkeeper and the other weapons were designed to reconnect with the consciousness trapped inside them, to maybe save what was left. The force field above them cracked. The Voidborn pushed through, its dark mass oozing into the room like oil. "Run," Ta shouted. They sprinted across the open space. The Voidborn dropped to the floor behind them and gave chase. It moved like water, flowing over surfaces. Tai stopped and turned to face it. "Keep going," he told Yun. "I'll hold it off." "No," Yun grabbed his arm. "Not like that. Let me show you how to really use Soulkeeper." She placed her hand over his on the sword's handle. Instantly, Tai felt something change. His mind expanded. He could feel the sword as if it were part of his body. More than that, he could feel thoughts guiding him. "We do this together," her voice echoed in his mind. The Voidborn rushed toward them. Ta moved the sword in a wide arc, guided by Yun's knowledge flowing through him. The blade cut through the dark mass, but instead of just slicing it, the sword seemed to draw something out of the creature. Threads of purple light clung to the blade. The Voidborn shrieked, a sound like tearing metal. It pulled back, part of it still connected to the sword. "Now," Yun whispered. "Pull." Tai reversed the sword's direction, pulling backward. The purple threads came with it, stretching out of the Voidborn. As they touched the blade, they crystallized into small, glowing shards. The creature's mass shrank. Its movements became erratic. Then it fled, squeezing back through the hole in the ceiling, smaller and weaker than before. Tai stared at his sword. Tiny purple crystals now floated in the blue energy of the blade. "What just happened?" he asked. "You freed part of it," Yun said. "You saved a piece of what it once was." Nova's voice came over the speakers. "Defense Force ships detected approaching. Estimated arrival, 10 minutes. General G, Han said. He must have tracked us here." Tai touched the crystal column where his sword had been. It felt warm, alive. "What do we do now?" Yun smiled. "We show them what we found." Not a weapon, but a way to end this war. Not through destruction, but through healing. As the Defense Force ships approached, the fleet arranged itself in a peaceful formation. The crystal column on the bridge glowed brighter, as if in welcome. And Tai understood at last why the sword had trembled when it first sensed Aeon. Not because it was a weapon recognizing its maker, but because it was a piece of soul recognizing its purpose. Not to destroy, but to save. Not to end life, but to transform it. "They're here," Han said as the Defense Force ships came into view. "Then let's show them what recognition truly means," Tai replied, standing tall beside the crystal that had once been his sword. The end. The ship shook as the first Voidborn caught up to them. It spread itself across the back of the ship like a dark blanket. The engines started to lose power. "It's feeding on our energy," Ta said, checking the ship's systems. "We're slowing down." Eun unbuckled her seatbelt. "We need to go outside and face them. There's no running from this." "Outside? In space?" Ta looked at her like she was crazy. "Your battle suit will protect you. And Soulkeeper works better in open space, closer to the void." She pointed to his armor. "Put on your helmet. I'll use the emergency suit in the back." 5 minutes later, they stood in the airlock. Tai in his black knight armor, Eun in a simple gray spacesuit. She had attached wires from the crystal to her suit's power system. "Remember what I showed you?" she said, her voice coming through his helmet comm. "Don't just cut. Connect and pull." The airlock opened. Space stretched out around them, beautiful and deadly. The ship hummed motionless, its engines dark. 3 Voidborn clung to it, drinking its energy. They noticed Ta and Eun immediately. "They see us," Ta said. "They see this." Eun held up the crystal. It glowed bright blue, pulsing with the same rhythm as Soulkeeper. "Ready?" Ta nodded and activated his sword. The blade hummed to life, brighter than ever before. The Voidborn released the ship and moved toward them. In open space, they looked even more strange. Tears in reality with nothing inside but darkness and small purple lights. Eun pressed a button on her suit. The thin blue line of energy connected her to Ta. "Now we're linked. You'll feel what I know." Suddenly, Ta's mind expanded. He could see the Voidborn differently. The dark parts were just energy. The small purple lights were what mattered, the remains of minds trapped inside. The first Voidborn rushed at them. Ta moved Soulkeeper in the way Eun's knowledge guided him. Instead of slashing, he held the blade out, letting the creature touch it. Where they connected, purple lights were drawn toward the sword. "Now turn the blade slowly," Eun's voice guided in his mind. Ta rotated the sword. The purple lights spiraled along the blade, separating from the dark mass. The Voidborn shrieked and pulled back, smaller than before. The second one attacked from below. Ta spun in space, his suit's small jets helping him move. He did the same thing, drawing out more purple lights. The third Voidborn was smarter. It went for Eun instead of Ta. She held up the crystal, which flashed brightly. The creature hesitated. "Ta. Now," she called. Todd pushed off from the ship, flying through space toward Eun. He passed through the Voidborn, Soulkeeper extended. The blade sang as it collected more purple lights. All 3 creatures were smaller now. The dark parts of them seemed less solid, more confused. The purple lights in Soulkeeper's blade had multiplied. They floated inside the energy, like stars in a tiny galaxy. "They're retreating," Eun said. The Voidborn moved away, back toward the dying station. They seemed afraid now. "We did it," Ta said, breathing hard. "We saved pieces of them." "Yes," Eun agreed, "but this is just the beginning. There are millions of Voidborn now, and the Defense Force is still destroying them the wrong way." They returned to the ship. The engines were working again, but barely. They had enough power to reach a nearby system, but not all the way to Defense Station Alpha. As they took off their helmets inside, Ta looked at his sword with new respect. The The blade was different now, filled with small purple lights that moved like living things. "What happens to them?" he asked. "The consciousness pieces we saved." "They need a proper home," Yen said. "The crystal and your sword can only hold them temporarily. That's why we need to find the hidden fleet. Those ships were built to house saved consciousnesses." Ta carefully placed Soulkeeper in its holder. "All these years, I thought I was a warrior. Now I find out I'm supposed to be a healer." Yen placed her hand on his shoulder. "You're both. That's what humanity was always meant to be." The ship's computer came back online. Rerouting power, setting course for nearest friendly outpost, mining Colony 7. Ta nodded. "We'll start there. Find allies who will listen." He looked at Yen. "Then we find your hidden fleet." Captain Ta looked out at the stars from his small ship. The year was 2457, and humanity was losing its fight to survive. The Voidborn had taken most of human space in the last 20 years. These strange beings ate stars and whole worlds. No one knew where they came from or why they attacked. Ta was one of the last human knights. Only 50 remained in the whole galaxy. Each knight carried a special weapon made with old tech that could hurt the Voidborn. His weapon was Stardrinker, a plasma sword that connected to his mind. The blue-white blade could cut through anything. It had never failed him in 15 years of fighting. Today, Ta had a new mission. A weak signal had come from Space Station 17, orbiting a dying red star. All stations in this area were supposed to be empty. Everyone had either died or left years ago, when the Voidborn first came. "Captain, we are 10 minutes from the station," said the ship's computer. Ta nodded and put on his battle suit. The black armor fit him perfectly. It could protect him in space and help him move faster in a fight. He picked up Stardrinker's handle from its case. The metal felt cold against his palm. "Run final checks on the station," he ordered. The computer showed him a picture of Space Station 17. It was shaped like a wheel with 8 spokes. Some parts had damage, but it was mostly whole. That was strange. The Voidborn usually destroyed everything. "I detect one life sign in the central lab," the computer said. "Human. Female." Ta frowned. "That's not possible. No one could live there for 20 years alone." "The reading is clear, Captain. One human life sign." As Ta's ship got closer to the station, he felt Stardrinker grow warm in his hand. He looked down at the sword's handle. In all his years of fighting, the weapon had been a part of him, responding to his thoughts as if it were his own arm. But now something was different. The handle vibrated softly. Tai activated the blade, and the blue-white plasma shot out, forming the familiar 3-foot blade. But the light pulsed and wavered. Stardrinker was trembling. "Weapon status," Tai asked the computer. "Stardrinker is operating at 120% normal power. No damage detected." Ta had never seen his sword act this way. Knights were trained to control their fear so their weapons would stay steady. But this trembling wasn't coming from him. It was the sword itself. His ship docked with the station with a soft thud. The airlock hissed as it matched air pressure. Ta stood ready, Stardrinker humming in his hand, its light casting blue shadows on the station's walls. "Be careful, Captain," the computer warned. "I'm reading strange energy patterns throughout the station. They match Stardrinker's frequency." Ta stepped onto the station. The lights were dim, running on emergency power. The air smelled old but clean. The place was empty but not abandoned. Someone had kept it working all these years. As he walked through the dark halls, Stardrinker's trembling grew stronger. The blade's light pulsed faster, like a heartbeat. Ta felt something pull him toward the central lab. Each step made the sword shake more in his grip. Not from fear. Ta knew what fear felt like in a weapon. This was different. This was like recognition. Tay reached the central lab door. Through the small window, he saw movement inside. A woman in a white lab coat stood with her back to him, working at a console. Stardrinker's light suddenly flared so bright it blinded him for a moment. When his eyes cleared, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. The woman turned to face him, and Tai understood why his sword trembled. Ta held Soulkeeper at his side, not raising it against Han. "I won't fight you, friend, but I can't let you take us to the general either." Han's sword didn't waver. "You have no choice." Yun stepped between them. "There is another way." She held up the blue crystal. "This contains more than memories. It has access codes to all Defense Force systems. I built them, after all." She walked to Han's computer and placed the crystal against it. The screen flashed blue, then showed a map of the base. "I just turned off the cameras in this section," she said, "and unlocked the path to the ship bay." Han looked confused. "Why would you help us escape if you're working with the enemy?" "She's not the enemy," Ta said. "The Voidborn aren't what we thought. Please, Han, come with us. See the truth for yourself." Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Soldiers were coming. Han lowered his sword. "My sister died fighting the Voidborn. If there's even a small chance she could be saved somehow." He didn't finish the thought. "I'll help you, but only to see this fleet you speak of." They moved quickly through the base, using Yun's access to avoid guards. In the ship bay, they found a small, fast scout ship. "It has enough fuel to reach the Aldrin system," Han said as they boarded. "That's close enough," Yun replied. She placed the crystal into the ship's navigation system. "These are the real coordinates. A red giant star called Proxima 7. The ship shot out of Earth's underground base through a hidden tunnel. Soon they were in open space, heading toward the distant red star." "Tell me about this fleet," Han said once they were safely away. Yun's face grew sad. 20 years ago, when we learned what the Voidborn truly were, a small group of scientists worked in secret. We built ships that could hold saved consciousnesses, not just weapons like Soulkeeper, but whole vessels designed to help the trapped minds heal." "How many ships?" Tai asked. 500. Enough to save millions." She looked at the stars passing by. "We hid them in the chromosphere of Proxima 7. The star's magnetic field protects them from detection, and time moves slower there. They've been waiting all these years." Han still looked doubtful. "If this fleet exists, why didn't the Defense Force know about it?" "Because the military wanted weapons, not healing tools," Yun said. "When they learned what we were building, they tried to take control. We had to hide our work." They traveled for 3 days. Finally, the red giant star appeared ahead of them, huge and angry, flares shooting from its surface. "There's nothing here," Han said, checking the ship's sensors. "Just the star." "Look closer," Yun told him. She guided their ship toward the star's edge, where the red glow was brightest. "The fleet is inside the chromosphere. Inside a star." Todd couldn't believe it. "Nothing can survive there." "These ships can." Yun activated the crystal again. It sent out a pulse of blue energy toward the star. "We built them to withstand the heat and radiation." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a section of the star's surface rippled. A hole opened, revealing darkness beyond. "What is that?" Han asked. "A time pocket," Yun explained. "The star's gravity bends time around the fleet. Inside, only months have passed, while out here it's been 20 years." They flew into the opening. The red glow of the star vanished behind them. Ahead, in the darkness, hundreds of lights appeared. As they got closer, the lights took shape. Huge ships, each the size of a small city. They were beautiful, with smooth curves and glowing blue lines running along their hulls. "The healing fleet," Yun said with pride. 500 ships, waiting for their purpose. Han stared in amazement. "I've never seen ships like these." "Because they're not warships," Yun replied. "They're arcs, places of healing and rebirth." Their small scout ship approached the largest vessel in the center of the fleet. As they drew near, lights activated along its surface, as if the ship was waking up. "It recognizes my presence," Yun said. "It knows its creator has returned." Ta looked at Soulkeeper. The purple lights inside the blade pulsed faster, reaching toward the fleet ships. Like the sword had once reached for Yun, now it recognized these vessels. "What do we do now?" Han asked. "We wake them," Yun said. "All of them. Then we save what's left of the Voidborn. And perhaps save humanity too."